speaking of technology, we're going to be talking about technology today. This kind of stuff, electronics equipment, when it gets old and it gets recycled, it often ends up in things like black plastic spatulas that you use at home. There's a health implication there. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but before I do, just a couple of news items. The first one is Jesus wanted to call this Dr. Brewer's Friday rant. I'm not a ranting kind of guy, so we decided the rant's not really the right name, but we are doing a vertical live each Friday. They've been very popular. I think a lot of folks are interested in, because they're going back to the old days of where it was just me and messing up with a camera, and the science, obviously, of course. Another thing that we're going to be doing is we try to streamline and get our live shows in the best format. We're going to be doing our live shows all on Thursday at 11 Eastern. Both the landscape and the vertical lives, for those of you who are familiar with that terminology. But bottom line is, this will be moving to Thursday, and that's going to be happening next week. A couple of other things. I still keep getting articles or references for folks, from folks about Nick Norwitz's video, eggs. He got picked up by a couple of national news groups, and yes, I'm very aware of it. Nick ate 720 eggs in a month and decreased his cholesterol. For those of you who are not familiar with this, check it out. It's a great article or a great video. But yes, we're very much aware of it. Nick's a friend. He's been on the channel several times. And he's making the point that cholesterol in your diet doesn't actually mean cholesterol in your blood. We've got a video on the same topic coming up, and it's got a slightly different perspective. So keep your eyes out and take a look at what we're putting out over the next couple of weeks. Speaking of which, about what we're putting out over the next couple of weeks, there's a lot of people over the past few years that have been asking about cyclodextrin. Jesus and I have been meeting over the past few days, and we're planning another organized video on that. I did a video on cyclodextrin a couple of years ago, and we will be updating that. There's a company in Australia called Cavadex. So if you haven't heard of cyclodextrin recently, you may have heard of Cavadex. We get a lot of questions about that, and we're going to be giving you the answers again in just a couple of weeks. Now, speaking of questions and answers, did you ever wonder, we talked about microplastics a few months ago, and we'll talk about those, just an update on those again right after this. But just when you thought it was safe to go in the kitchen and have a couple of eggs, you realize maybe it's not safe to eat 2 bowls of cereal, but it's safe to eat eggs. Be careful what you flip those eggs with. I'm going to go into some detail on black plastics and some recent information. On October 1st, just last week, an article was published in the journal Chemosphere. The title of the article was "From E-Waste to Living Space: Flame Retardants Contaminating Household Items." It adds to the concern about plastic recycling. Here's what happens. Black plastics used in this electronic equipment gets recycled. And especially in places like China, where there are poor controls on sources for plastics, things like flame retardants in those electronic recycled materials are ending up in spatulas, spoons, and other cooking utensils and dishes. So at first you might think, well, it doesn't sound like a bad idea. Flame retardant in a spatula used for frying. your eggs. Well, you don't want your spatula to catch fire and start a kitchen fire. That would ruin breakfast, right? Well, that's not right. Here's the problem. The chemicals, especially flame retardants in black dyes, are poisons for humans. Remember these terms for future reference: melamine, polyamides, and black plastics. Avoid them, please. So this gets for the geeks out there who are saying, well, what's going on? The problem that is being brought up is that the substances like, here we go, don't have to remember these terms: brominated flame retardants, organophosphates. You may have heard that in terms of pesticides. You know, the guys that were flying the planes that were dropping pesticides on crops, organophosphates. These things are being recycled. They're being used in household items like black plastic spatulas and kitchen utensils. This is not new. It's been around for a few years, but again, just more continued development in that space. This substance or these substances can be present in about 85% of people, or the plastics that are used by people every day. So think about it. We all thought that plastics were inert, right? Look at potentially 85% of the plastics. I've just held up a bunch of stuff again from my own perspective. The stuff that drives me crazy, technology. 85% of it has stuff in there that can be poison for humans. Poison in what way? Well, cancer, metabolic disease, endocrine disease, even brain damage. And as we'll talk about in just a few minutes, you think about microplastics, it's even an issue for cardiovascular disease. So this highlights the challenges of the developing world, the developed world. Plastics and microplastics are just a big deal, no matter where you go. Now, as I said, I was going to do a quick refresher on microplastics as well. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles, less than 5 millimeters. They also talk about nanoparticles too, but I'm not going to get into that. They've raised significant environmental concerns due to their pervasive presence and persistence in various ecosystems everywhere in the world. Microplastics have the potential to interact with biological systems, enter the human body through multiple pathways, such as ingestion, inhalation, or dermal contact. Now, this is from an article in Science Direct. And here's what's interesting about this. They're not talking on this exposure about ingestion. They're not talking about eating it from your eggs on your spatula or your cooking utensils. They're not talking about inhalation, where it may have been particles may have been burned and you may have inhale them. They're not talking about skin contact, which I have all day, every day with my technology, which I hate. They're talking about cardiac catheterization. So think about that. What do you think? You go to the doctor, you say, you know what, my cousin or my uncle Fred had a heart attack. I'm getting worried. Could we figure out what to do about this? And quite often you're going to end up in the cath lab. Well, you end up in the cath lab, and what do you think they're going to be doing? Sticking plastic directly into your heart. So, ingested microplastics, again, they disrupt critical biological processes in the human body. Again, affecting the endocrine systems, the immune systems. They impair mobility, reproduction, and carcinogenesis, causing cancer. So, again, there's a lot of problems that we have yet to uncover, to understand completely. That's what this channel's about. helping us understand the risks and the major ways of managing our risks for dying early, becoming disabled early. And it sounds like ugly stuff, doesn't it? Here's the point. It's not ugly. Look at the flip side of what we do. Yes, we help you make sure that you understand where your risks are, but the bottom line is the vast majority of risks that we suffer from in terms of heart attacks, strokes, the major killers and disablers in our world, blindness, kidney disease, erectile dysfunction. The vast majority of this is preventable. You just need to know what to do. And in order to know what to do, you need to know what causes it. So we've got a lot of comments and questions. I've got a little bit of time, so let me get to seeing how many I can answer. Michael Pregler, good morning, Dr. Brewer. Vape King, I had no idea. Gildo Otano, shalom, paz. Shalom and paz to you, Gildo. Alvera Yuma, hello from Panama. I don't think I've heard from Panama yet. Thank you so much, Alvaro. Vape King, younger folks like verticals usually. Yep, no question. Verticals are, yeah, no question. Dr. Prabhugas Gandhi, Dr. Gandhi from Mumbai, India. Thank you so much for watching, Dr. Gandhi. Oh, so that was from Jesus, not me. There's a video dropping tomorrow that we referred to. Was that eggs? So I ate 3 eggs a day, but online most say 2. I think you'll see from all the videos that are coming out about eating eggs. 3 eggs are not going to hurt you. I'd much rather you eat 3 eggs a day than 2 bowls of cereal. There's no question about that. Are all nonstick pan surfaces poisonous? That's a great question, Carol. And here's the bottom line. I would avoid any nonstick pan surface. Just avoid it. Use stainless steel. For those of us that need a little bit more iron, you see that especially with boomer age men. It's good to have at least one iron skillet that you use. For women of childbearing age, it's good to have an iron skillet as well, because that's iron is a common deficiency in humans. It causes a significant problem for infants, very young kids. And it comes back often related to the mom. The mom has an iron deficiency even before getting pregnant and remains that way. Iron is difficult to ingest. It's difficult to absorb. And something easy and gentle, but every day, like using an iron skillet, is a great way to get iron. Mike Pregler, Nick just posted a video that he ate only bacon. Yes, I just saw that video. It came out about an hour ago. Nick is really geeky. He goes deep into the science, but it's really good science. Nick has a PhD in human metabolism. I like to give him a hard time about whether it's from Oxford or that other place. Just like he gives me a hard time about whether I went to Harvard or the other place, Hopkins. Maybe Hopkins or that other place. So, Greg Scaife, looking forward to that, Dr. B. I do like my eggs. I do too. So I ate a lot of eggs, and it got me back into my youth habits. I used to have eggs for breakfast every day. Now I'm having them for breakfast again every day. Vape King, poached eggs. I love poached eggs. So don't buy the black ones. Yeah, just bottom line, don't buy any black plastic. I mean, here's the easy takeaway, the easy call to action, and that is, be very careful. Just avoid any kind of, especially kitchen utensil. And the classic thing is spatulas. Here's a double whammy with spatulas. So number one, you're heating it up. Number two, you're soaking it in oil. And when you start looking at the different things like melamines and polyamides that are also included in here, as well as the black dyes themselves, they tend to leach out when you're using, when they're exposed to fats and oils, like you expose them with cooking eggs. And this heat and exposure to fats and oils is a double whammy on getting exposure through black plastics. So just don't use them. Use and don't use nonstick cookware either. Just use stainless steel and wood or stainless steel spatulas and utensils. Okay, Carol P. Short answer, yes. Okay. Jesus is helping in the back. Hello from Cape Town. Great to hear from somebody from Cape Town. And I've seen your name a few times before already, Zoe. So thank you for joining us. So I use acacia wood utensils. Very nice. Food prepared in aluminum vessels, also harmful for kidneys. Thank you, Dr. Gandev, for sharing that. Ceramic pans, I assume, are non-toxic. Well, it depends on the coating for the ceramic. Ceramic alone is usually going to be fairly safe, but I mean, so many ceramic pans have coatings on them. I would, again, just go back to stainless steel. Can activated charcoal can reduction the problem with trying to eat something, like let's say you decide to eat activated charcoal, a teaspoon of it every day, that's really going to go through your gastrointestinal system. How much of that's going to be absorbed and actually go into all of the different areas of your body? I don't think we understand that fully yet. I did see a video. I saw the title. I didn't watch the video yet by oh, what is her name? Found My Fitness, Rhonda Patrick, where she was talking about maybe ways to get rid of it. I haven't seen it yet. I don't think there's a lot of science in that space yet. I think the biggest issue, which is always the biggest issue, avoid any future damage. And as Jesus says, prevention's boring. It is boring, but you know what? It's the best. Are silicone spatulas safe? They may be, but here's the problem. Are all your silicone spatulas absolutely 100% silicone? Or do they not have any dye in them? They don't have any flame retardants? That's the problem, I think. What is safe? Again, wood and stainless steel is safe. Thank you, Unicorn Diva. And Jesus is back there looking with Dr. Google. Ceramic pans can have lead. Test them with acetic acid. I would just be safe and avoid ceramics as well. And I understand if you've already got your kitchenware set up, that can be a challenge. But just be aware and start weighing your risks and your benefits. I cook and use stainless steel and wood. Jim Dandy, anyone here use a CPAP every night? Think of the, oh my gosh, very, very good point, Jim. And, here's at least part of the maybe saving grace is that at least you don't have a huge amount of heat. You do have some heating and some moisturizing there. But yep, you got plastics there too. And then at that point, you may start dealing with the question of, okay, is loss of sleep more dangerous than the microplastics that I may be absorbing? One of the things I would go back to, especially with sleep, is are you doing all the other things to make sure that you're getting sleep? Do you have the proper body composition, proper amount of muscle, proper amount of fatigue associated with that muscle from working out regularly, intensely enough, and with enough resistance training? Do you have minimal body fat? Body fat is a major issue for surrounding your airways? Are you sleeping on your side? Are you doing sleep hygiene? Again, people want to go to, just like they always want to go to the easy button. And sometimes CPAP is a lot easier than all the stuff I just talked about. And think about it. Again, Jim Dandy's bringing up a good point. But the fluid that sits in IV bags, yep, they're starting to look at that. James Lester, we use green pan pans, certified lead and cadmium free. Thank you for coming in from India. Let me look through here. Jesus would want me to make sure that they're all members, but we get a lot of non-members on this show, The Verticals. And it's part of it's because of the AI. The AI sends it out to verticals a different way. Eric Ruggieri, listening from Italy. Here it is said that we're contaminated by PFAs in our bodies. Maybe that's something related to, yes, it is. PFAs are associated more with the non-stick stuff. Yep, Forever Chemicals. And I am going to have to just do a couple more and then say goodbye for the morning. I've got a busy day planned. Plastic mixer jars, plastic water bottles. I used to keep a water bottle in my car, and I lived down south, and you'd get the heat, so you're getting a whole lot probably of ingestion and probably leaching from breakdown of those plastic bottles. Obviously, I don't do that anymore. There's so many things that we didn't know. It reminds you of that scene in the movie with Dustin Hoffman. They're sitting by the pool. It's The Graduate. And Dustin's having a hard time figuring out what he wants to do for a living. And a businessman, friend of the family, just says one word to him: plastics. So it's like the whole thing of a year or two or a decade or two before that, when it was a better life through chemistry, and then a better life through plastics. Thank you so much for your interest today.